So hi and a very warm welcome to this episode 4 of the Lightning Process in London. Today I've got another of my team. It's the fabulous Jacqui Aston. Say hi, Jacqui.
Hi. Hi.
Now the way these things work, you don't know. There's two screens side by side, so no running away when I'm talking because it will show up on the film. So we got Jacqui. Oh, I can see. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a dog next to her. I can see a tail wagging in the background. And I have got a little puppy, as many of you know, because she's made an appearance on both of the podcasts, who's likely to be running around today as well. So welcome, Jacqui. Thanks for being here. I thought we'd begin by talking a little bit about how we met. So maybe you want to tell the story, because I think that would be interesting for people who are tuning in.
Yeah, very happy to share. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, ME, CFS, and fibromyalgia, along with many other things as well, like POTS, post-orthopedic tachycardia syndrome, various other things. Basically, my body was going a bit wrong. I'd had glandular fever and just didn't seem to recover. And then it took about a year for them to diagnose, full-blown ME, CFS. And I was, working really hard to find a way to get better. And I tried every option. I had a fantastic medical team. I had, everyone working really hard to get me better. And I had a strong desire to get better as well. But, there were days when I just kind of gave up hope that it wasn't going to happen, because a lot of people's beliefs were, if you have chronic fatigue ME, you don't recover. Or there'd be beliefs out there such as, if you haven't recovered in the first year, the chances of recovering drop. So overall, I was ill for about 5 years, and the last year was probably the worst. I was bedridden a lot of the time, and my family would wheel me out in a wheelchair for a day out once a week now and again when I was up to it. But it was really not a good situation. And I'd heard about the lightning process. And the first time I heard about it, I'd actually dismissed it because it seemed too good to be true, which now I get that, we hear that a lot. But then after a year or two of just being so ill, I was thinking I can't, go on this way anymore. It's just awful. I had 3 young children and work anymore. So I thought I'd revisit the lightning process because I felt, I haven't got anything to lose. Why not? I'll do it. And actually, when I Googled lightning process, it said Phil Parker coming to Singapore for the first time, and I was living in Singapore, and I thought, that's it. I have to do it. So I got in touch with you guys and I applied. I don't know if it's worth sharing, but the first time I was accepted onto the course. I don't know if you remember that, but I was still too sceptical, and I was sort of asking you to prove to me in a way that it was going to work, and I wasn't doing the work myself to prepare and to read up on it and find out more about it. So I went away and I read the book, The Introduction to Lightning Process, and that really helped me change my kind of thinking. And I
can I just talk about that, because some people may not be familiar with the process, with the lightning process. Because it's a training program, we say to people, if you want to go to, say, medical school, and you want to do medical school training, you would need to have the adequate readiness to take on that training. So if you go, I've got an A-level in pottery or poetry, they may go, you need to go and do chemistry, biology, because that's what you need to do in medicine. And with the lightning process, it's the same. We say, if you want to do the lightning process, you really need to be ready. You need to have your head in the right space. You have to have studied a bit, because there's going to be things you need to learn, and you don't want to be catching up on the course. So people apply, and then when they've applied, we get their application form. We have a chat with them just to check that they're up for it. Are you in the right space to get value from this? The worst thing would be if people came to the process when they thought they just turned up and we'd fix them, because that's not what happens in the training. We need to make sure that they're going to be ready to take on a whole bunch of skills, use their brain to change the way their body works, and nobody else can do that but them. And so we have this assessment procedure where we say to people, look, we think you're ready, great, or actually you probably need to do a bit more study and preparation before. And you were one of the people that we said that to. It happens probably,
yeah,
I don't know, how many times would you say, what percentage of people would you say you say you need to do a bit more? I would say it's probably, for me, about 25-30%. What about you?
Yeah, it's probably even a little less than that, actually, because quite often when people find the lightning process, they've already done the work and they have read the book, and so it's maybe about 10-15% that have to come back.
So I interrupted you in your story. Carry on with your
No,
your
I
tail.
was just going to say that I just wanted to mention now that you have the downloads as well, which are also really, really good. The book was great, but I think the downloads would have been, even better. So the clients now have that option to download and learn even more about the lightning process before you do it, which I think is.
Well, I think also that for many people, reading a book is a very tough ask for them if they're not feeling well. So downloads or audio programs are a lot easier. And as you say, the new downloads, what I've done with it is the original introduction to the lightning process book was good. It introduced the ideas, but there was a bit missing, and I think we could have given more information as to what the lightning process involved, to give them some tools and starting points of exercises and stuff. And so the latest introduction, which has only been released I think about 2 months ago, and the feedback seems to be really good. It covers a lot more of the material of the lightning process seminars, so it gives people a bit of a bigger sense of what it is, and also some stuff to put into practice as a starting point, so they can start to see change. So sorry I interrupted you once again. Carry on.
I think different clients get different things from that, whether they read the book or they listen to the download or they watch some of your YouTube videos. Clients get different things from that. For me, it was a really important moment when I felt hope come back. I read the book and I genuinely then knew, actually, this could really work, genuinely could work. And then going into the process with that feeling, do we only say yes to people who are 100% sure it's going to work on them? No, because it's too difficult for people to be 100% sure. But they need to be, I think, I don't know if you'd agree, at least 90% sure, maybe a little bit more. If they're only 50-50, I think they're not going to perhaps be as, I don't know whether the word's ready or committed but there's something about knowing that it is possible and having that belief that yes, this is actually going to probably work. Then obviously the experience is really so much better. And I think that for me, I had a very quick change, quick turnaround. Having been ill for a very long time, within the first and second day, I felt almost normal again. And of course, then sometimes clients have an expectation that it will happen quickly, because it happens quickly for a lot of people. But it doesn't always happen quickly. I'm not sure how much of that is to do with how much you believe it's going to work. I'm sure you could,
I think it's a combination. I think with most people, a vast majority of people, they do get a really major change in the first 3 days, which for the lightning process has been a good and a bad thing. It's been great in that people tell their friends and the change is so dramatic. But it's also bad for the lightning process, and that people go, well, that can't possibly work. There must be something wrong with that, because that's, as you said, too good to be true. But it's also worth pointing out that not everybody gets that change. I think there are a couple of reasons. One is some people learn at different speeds. It takes a while to put the change into practice, because with the lightning process, you're learning how to use your brain in a completely different way. So for some people, I think it does take them a little bit of time to work out how do I use my brain to change my body. And I talked about in this one of the other podcasts that it's asking a lot. Your brain's not working well to take on some new skills, but people do manage it. And I think the other thing that can be an issue is people's beliefs and experience, and also authority figures saying, oh, you can't get well, or you have to keep this diet on. Those kind of things can get in the way. And I think the third thing is just, if people have got a lot of stuff to work through, it can take a while, particularly if some of their issues are still ongoing. So if they've got unresolved trauma, or their relationships are difficult, or they're wondering what to do with their future, those things can all have a big impact on what goes on in their life. So luckily the majority of people, I would say probably 70% of people doing the lightning process improve massively quickly. But for the other 30%, it's important that they realise that it's not wrong. It's just, for some people it takes a bit longer for various reasons, and that's okay. The tools are the same, independent. It's about putting them in practice consistently. And there's a natural kind of sense of, oh, it's not working for me because I'm not making the change that Jacqui has, that people would think, oh, maybe something's wrong. It may not be anything's wrong. It just may be, you just need to stay consistent and persist with it.
I think that makes a lot from my experience as well. And it's important as a practitioner to support people when they're having that experience, and encourage them and say, don't worry, it's fine. And mostly once they know it's okay and they're not uniquely different, then they do make the change.
Yeah, because what's interesting is things like that. Our belief that something is not working will actually affect our ability to make it work, and we know this from the thousands upon thousands of placebo studies, where taking a real medicine, a strong pill like chemotherapy, its effect will be completely changed and affected by whether you think it's going to work or not. And vice versa, if you take a pill with nothing in it but you think it's chemo, your hair will fall out. So this is good science that says our beliefs are really important, and one of the things we look at in the lightning process is how can you assist your beliefs to move you in the right direction, because beliefs will always be operating, and if you've been ill for a long time, it's completely natural you'll have some beliefs that are not very helpful for you. So a slight pause for troublesome puppy again. Carry on, Jacqui. I just couldn't hear you because she was making so much noise.
One of the things, having experienced being that ill for that long, and having been a person that throughout my whole life, I had a great life. I was very happy with my life. I enjoyed my life. I was living a very full life. And so I got ill, but that's okay, because we get ill and then we go to the doctor, and the doctor gives you a diagnosis, and then the doctor gives you some pills, and you get better. And that was my whole world. That's what happened in my world. So to be suddenly told that, oh, actually we can't be doing anything about this, is really a big shock, and it breaks open your world, because it's not the world as you understand it. And to be told by experts that there's nothing you can do about this, you just need to take it easy and pace yourself, and you might be able to readjust your life to have lower expectations of what you can do and what you can achieve. And that was a really difficult transition for me, definitely. And then, of course, you try lots of different things. So you build your hopes up, and then it doesn't work, and you build your hopes up, and it doesn't work. And even though my belief is that ME chronic fatigue is a physiological illness, as we also believe it as lightning process practitioners, then the mind comes in as well, because I started to be very depressed because I was dealing with this illness and having to work a way around how I could adjust to this new life. So I think when you come to a training like the lightning process, if you've been ill for a while, you're going to bring some of that with you. So even when you get success, even on the first day, when you can feel actually this is working, then there's that whole history, depending on how long you've been ill, that can kick in a little bit and say, oh, but wait a minute, experts have told you this is impossible, and you've felt a little bit better before when you did such and such treatment, but it didn't last, and so all that sort of stuff can start to go on. And I think the lightning process, the 3-day training, I think it deals with that really well. I think on the first day, we talk a lot in the training about how our brain can do that, and how our our past experience can kick in and be our, feed our beliefs about what is and what isn't possible. And I think that I think most clients start to feel a change on the first and second day, but then they almost talk themselves out of it being possible sometimes. And I sometimes think that can delay the recovery, as much as it's not that it doesn't work per se. I think it's that our own experience in the past of, dare we hope, can we really be well? Because there really is so much science, if you like, out there that's saying you can't get better from this.
Yeah. Well, I think the word science is very interesting there, and it's not science that you can't get better. What they've done is they've done lots of research that shows it's a chronic relapsing condition, but that is based on looking at certain approaches. It's not looking at all approaches. It's not, basically it doesn't look at anything non-orthodox. So acupuncture, homeopathy, herbs, nutrition, anything that's not within the system hasn't really been examined. And so we can say things about the medical approaches, but we can't say much about the other approaches because the research hasn't been done. I mean, we're lucky in the lightning process in that we have raised our profile and interest enough that people are doing research, but there isn't much research outside of the medical profession. And then you get experts saying things like, well, nothing works. Well, that's not accurate. What they're saying is what we've looked at doesn't work. And people run with those kind of statements. A lot of the associations that are designed to support patients will be, quite negative about things with no research. The better ones say we can't make a judgment yet because it hasn't been any research. although we also can't exclude all the thousands of people. The anecdotal reports, indeed, they're just stories, but they're real stories of real people, thousands of them making changes using all sorts of things. And it's important, I think, to remember that thing you said when you were getting ready to do the lightning process and you read the book and you had that sense of hope. It really shouldn't be discouraged or undermined. We know from our experience that this is an illness you can recover from, no matter how serious you've had it, how long you've had it. We've seen so many thousands. I mean, in the last 5 years, 9,000 people we've seen. It is possible to recover from this, and that's a really important message that gets lost a lot in the science, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of a controversial field as well, which we won't go into too much, but there's definitely controversy around what is and isn't possible, and a lot of that again comes from beliefs that are out there, and if someone's an expert, then they obviously know what they're doing. But for us, I mean, you could say that we are the ultimate experts in working with chronic fatigue. I mean, thousands of people have come and done the process and had excellent results. So, in our own way, I think we're experts. And obviously, I'm an expert in the illness, having lived it for 5 years and read a lot of research. I mean, I really did do a lot of research into the illness and onto a lot of the trials. And around the time that I was ill, that was when the whole XMRE came out. And I think that more experience as well of coming to the process, I felt that hope, which was brilliant, but I also thought, I wonder why it's 3 days. I wonder if, there's going to be a lot of padding around this seminar. So there's going to be this slide and this slide and this slide, but really the key information that we need we'll get at the end of, day 3. Because that was sometimes my experience of paying for a training program or going on a training program was, that you'd be paying good, value for what you want, but it would be padded around other things to make it look, desirable. So every single slide, as I was sitting there, and also I had some background and training in psychology and in hypnotherapy and various other sort of in this area, and I'd studied mindfulness and lots of different other kind of things. So I was sitting there thinking, every single slide was interesting, but also the explanation that we have, that we teach people as we go along as to what may be causing chronic fatigue ME, which has a myriad of symptoms that vary from person to person, made so much logical sense. It went, as we're explaining what's happening in the body, what's happening physiologically, you look at it and you go, that explains everything. That explains why I'm ill. That also explains why I'm still ill. And it's going to be really easy to sort out. So I think that the training itself as well is just so powerful, and so it contains so much knowledge, so much key information that is out there in a way, some of it, not all of it, hallelujah. But that to me is what's really powerful about the lightning process, is that every single slide, if you like, every single point that we're teaching is so relevant, so key, and so useful. There's no padding. It's 3 days of change your world, not just your illness, but you're going to have a completely different perspective on the world, a deeper knowledge of what's happening for you in your body and your mind. It's really powerful, really amazing training.
I have to agree. I mean, the extraordinary process of change that unfolds in the process is amazing. I think what we've talked about today is really, really fascinating. And I think what's particularly valuable about it, not only your own personal experience, but it will hopefully get people interested in asking some questions and go, what do you mean by that? Which is one of the things we want to do on these podcasts is ask people to send in questions so we can answer some of the questions that you have, and flesh out some of the things that we've been talking about, because we talked about lots of stuff today about science, about the application process, about your personal experience, about how quickly people get well, about how annoying it is to have dogs when you're trying to record things. So anything you'd like to close with before we finish?
I think that's a really key thing to say, that there may be questions that come out of our chat today, which is what we encourage people to come and ask. There are, there's several of us in London as practitioners, but we're all over the UK, and I think all practitioners are very approachable, and it doesn't cost anything to call them up, drop an email. If you're not sure if the training is for you or it's going to help you, I would say contact a practitioner and have a chat, because we have an application process. We're not going to kind of be pushing anyone into doing the process. It's very much about want to come and do it, so it's not, it's I think the best thing to do is to just get in touch with someone and chat to them, you know. And we can also put you in touch with people who've done the process, who can, you know, talk to you about it. If you think this may be something that could be useful for you, but you're not sure, and I don't want to put people off by saying, you know, that in the beginning I was sceptical and I didn't have hope, and it only worked when I had hope. You know, there are quite a few analytical, sceptical people that come and do very, very well as well. I would say just get in touch with a practitioner and have a chat, or, you know, download and have a listen to what's involved. Get a dog, because they're really good. Yeah, that's all I say is just contact us, come and talk to us.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice point. And also, just to amplify that it's not just in the UK; it's all around the world. So, and most of the people who are lightning process practitioners have personal experience of what it's like to be ill, and so, you know, we're completely there to answer questions and support you in working out whether it's the right thing for you. We're very clear that we won't try and get you to do the process if we don't think it's useful for you. You know, we want you to be ready to get value from it. So I'm going to sign off now. I saw this little doggy who seems to need some attention. Lovely to speak to you, Jacqui, and thanks for your time. And we'll see the rest of you guys on the next podcast, maybe with or without dogs. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
For more information, please go to lightningprocess.co.uk and do send an email to phil@philparker.org. We'd love to hear from you, particularly if you have any questions you'd like answering on future podcasts.